It was designer and inventor of the Corvette, Henry Earl, that said, "In auto sales, appearance is everything, or almost everything. It is certainly the most important single factor in a consumer's decision to buy this or that make." In this lesson, we're going to compute the cost of classified ads for used cars, and we're going to compute the cost of the sales tax on automobiles. All to answer the question, how do buyers and sellers advertise for automobiles? Before we get into it, let's take a look at warm-up number 2 to make sure we're ready for this lesson. A of x is the area function for the equilateral triangle given by a of x is equal to x squared over 4 times the square root of 3. Evaluate the function for each x. Well, this would mean that 6 squared divided by 4 times the square root of 3. Now, 6 squared is 36, and 36 divided by 4 is 9, so we get 9 square root of 3. In the case where x is the square root of 3, then we have the square root of 3 squared divided by 4 times the square root of 3, giving us 3 over 4 times the square root of 3, because the square root of 3 squared is 3. In the case where n plus 1 is x, then we would simply substitute that value in n plus 1 squared over 4 times the square root of 3 to get our answer. Now, let's take a look at a problem that you will be able to do by the end of this lesson. Let's graph the piecewise function that we see here. We know that on the x-axis, it's going to reach 5, and at 5, it will be 60 all the way across the y-axis. Now, this is given to us by the first equation, which is the horizontal line. It will then start going up with a slope of 8 at the point of 5 and beyond. So this point right here is at 5, 60. Most teenagers can't wait to get their own set of wheels. New cars are expensive, so for most people, their first car is a used car. You can buy used cars from a dealer or by looking at classified ads in the newspaper or on the internet. Automobile ads online and in print media use abbreviations to save space and lower the cost of the ad. Take a look at a classified ad section in a newspaper online and see how many of the abbreviations you understand. Most words, such as mint or immaculate, are often used to describe cars in excellent condition. A car with many options is often listed as loaded. The thousands of miles a car has been driven is abbreviated as a K. An ad says 34K, telling you that the car has been driven a total of 34,000 miles. All of the options have abbreviations. On the screen, we can see some of the abbreviations used in classified ads for used cars. The asking price is usually given in the advertising. Negotiable means that the seller is willing to bargain with you. Firm means the owner is unwilling to negotiate. Sacrifice means that the seller needs to sell the car quickly and believes that the price is lower than the car's worth. By knowing what these expressions mean, you will be able to skim the ads and focus on the ones that describe the used car that would be best for you. Here, we're going to learn some of the steps that may be involved when buying or selling a used car. You can contact the state's Department of Motor Vehicles to find specific information about cars in your state. In many states, the buyer of a used car must pay sales tax on the car. The sales tax is a percentage of the sale price paid to the government for sales of products and services. Now let's compute sales tax on an automobile. Kerry purchased a car for $7,400 and had to pay 8.5% sales tax. How much did she pay? To find the sales tax, we're going to multiply the price of the item by the sales tax and express it as a decimal. Recall that 8.5% can be written as 8.5%, and when written as a decimal is 0.085. Multiplying that by the sale of the car, $4,700, we find that there is $629 owed. Therefore, Kerry must pay $629 in sale tax. This money goes to the state when you register your car, not the seller of the car. Be sure you consider the sales tax expense on your car when you're planning this purchase. It can be thousands of dollars on a new car. Now let's check our understanding of this. The sales tax in Marianne's state is 4%. If she purchases a car for X dollars, express the total cost of the car with sales tax algebraically? Well, we know that she's going to have to pay for the car, which is X dollars. When we add to that the sales tax, which is 0.04 times X. Now, you could also look at this as the sale of the car times 1.04, which is 1 plus 0.4 by factoring out that X. Now, let's compute the cost of a classified ad for used cars. The cost of an automobile ad is determined by its length. John plans to sell his car and places a 5-line ad in the Auto Enthusiast publication. The publication charges $31 for the first 2 lines, $6 per line to run the ad for 1 week. What will John's ad cost to run for 2 weeks? So we're going to subtract the number of lines over 2 lines. So 5 minus 2 is going to give us 3. Now we're going to multiply that 3 by $6, giving us $18. Add to that the $31 for placing the ad in the first place, and we find a $49 charge. Since this charge is by week, but they want it for 2 weeks, we can then multiply by 2 to get $98. Let's check our understanding of this. Ramon plans to sell his car and places an ad with X lines. The newspaper charges Y dollars for the first G lines, P dollars per line after that to run the ad for a week. If X is greater than G, express the cost of running the ad for a week. So Y is the cost of the first number of lines of the ad. We're going to add to that P, the cost per line over X lines, so X minus G. Jason works for Glen Oaks News and is writing a program to compute ad costs. He needs to add an algebraic representation for the cost of an ad. His company charges $42.50 for up to 5 lines of an automobile ad. Each additional line costs $7. Express the cost of an ad with X lines as a function of X. So to write the algebraic representation of this, we need to write 2 rules. One rule is for when the ad is 5 or fewer lines, and the other rule for when the ad is more than 5 lines. Let's remember that the domain is the set of values that can be put into the function. Now we can view these 2 conditions as 2 different domains. You will find the equations for the cost when X is less than or equal to 5, and then the equation for the cost when X is greater than 5. If the ad has 5 or fewer lines, the cost is $42.50. So C of X would be equal to $42.50, but when X is less than or equal to 5. Now, if the ad has more than 5 lines, the cost is $42.50, and the lines over 5 lines. Note that the domain is given by the inequality that follows when in the statement of the function. If X is the number of lines, then the number of lines over 5 can be represented by X minus 5. These extra lines cost $7. So we know we have $42.50 automatically. We add to that the $7 per line over 5, and we're going to use this equation when X is greater than 5. These 2 equations can be written in mathematical shorthand using a piecewise function. A piecewise function is sometimes called a split function. A piecewise function gives the set of rules for each domain of the function. Notice that C of X is computed differently depending on the value of X. Now, let's check our understanding. The Smithtown News charges $38 for a classified ad that is 4 or fewer lines. Each line above 4 lines costs an additional $6.25. Express the cost of an ad as a piecewise function. Now, we know it is 38 when X is less than or equal to 4. That's their standard fee for the first 4 lines. Each additional line comes with that $38 plus $6.25 for every line X over 4, so we can say minus 4. And this occurs when X is greater than 4. Roxanne set up the following piecewise function, which represents the cost of an automobile ad for her hometown newspaper. If X is the number of lines in the ad, use words to express the price C of X of an automobile ad from the paper. Look at the two domains. Look at the function rule in the first line. The inequality x is less than or equal to 6 tells us that the cost is $41.55 if the number of lines is less than or equal to 6. Next, look at the second line. The expression x minus 6 gives the number of lines over 6. That expression is multiplied by 5.50, so the cost of each extra line must be $5.50. The inequality x is greater than 6 tells you the cost $41.55 for the first 6 lines and $5.50 for each line over 6. Now, let's check your understanding of this. The following piecewise function, the price PW for a classified ad for a classic car magazine. If W is the number of lines in the ad, use words to express the price P of W of a classified ad from this paper. The ad is $60 for the first 5 lines and $8 for each line after that. Now, let's graph the piecewise function that we see here. We know that on the x-axis it's going to reach 5, and at 5 it will be 60 all the way across the y-axis. Now this is given to us by the first equation, which is the horizontal line. It will then start going up with a slope of 8 at the point of 5 and beyond. So this point right here is at 5, 60. Let's check our understanding and find the coordinate of the cusp of the graph of this piecewise function. So we know on this graph, we're going to have a horizontal line at 4250 as the y value. This is going to stay all the way until we reach 5. And at 5, that's when things will change and it'll start to have an upward slope. This point is located at 5, 4250. So the cusp is at 5 at 4250.